Good morning. This is Orly Taitz, and today is October 26th, and this is Taitz Report. And I wanted to talk about a couple of issues. One, of course, has to do with Obamacare. It's an issue that a lot of people are talking about, and specifically the website for which the the taxpayers have paid over $700 million, and the website is not working. And what I wanted to mention is the U.S. government is not any different from us, the taxpayers. The business that that U.S. government is doing is not different from any other business. For example, when you buy a car and the car happens to be a lemon, you can go back to the store and return the car and get a refund. Well, U.S. government is not different from consumers. U.S. government is a consumer and can get a refund for defective product, for a lemon, for services that were paid for and not received. And it is time to do just that. I doubt that Catherine Sebelius is going to do anything substantive here. However, the only counterforce uh, to our ruling mafia is the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives or House Oversight Committee can file a legal action. Um, don't forget that the House of Representatives is the one that holds the strings of the purse. It provided allocation of funds for different agencies. And if, for example, funds were misappropriated, wasted, embezzled, the Congress can go to court and seek rescission of a contract and refund of funds, retribution. And what Department of what the U.S. government and House Judiciary Committee or House Oversight Committee can do, they can file as ex-relator, stepping in the shoes of, for example, Department of Health and Human Services. Basically, the caption of a lawsuit will be U.S. Congress ex-relator Department of Health and Human Services against, and you just put the name of the company, in this case, the company that created this website. As we know, Catherine Sebelius has given this contract for $700 million for the website that does not work. And multiple experts are stating that similar contract could have been created for $1 million or something around this number. So there is clearly a waste of taxpayer funds. And it is time for the US Congress to step forward and demand reimbursement, just rescission of the contract. We did not get the bargain, we did not get what we bargained for, and we need a rescission of this contract and restitution. Furthermore, let's not forget that any employee of the government, particularly when we're talking about employees in high office like Catherine Sebelius, they took an oath of office. And in any contract, there is a presumed covenant of good faith and fair dealing. And we did not get good faith from Catherine Sebelius in that she awarded a contract without any bidding to a company where the CEO of the company just happens to be a friend of Michelle Obama. It was reported that another individual in high position happens to be related to Valerie Jarrett, I believe her sister's husband. There are too many relations, and it is time for the Congress to step in. There is a need for rescission of this contract. Further, there is a question: where did this money go? When expert after expert are saying that a website like this could have been created for less than $1 million, and the US government has spent over $700 million, there is a for a company of his friend by name Robert Blackwell. And when Blackwell received $320,000 from the state of Illinois, he paid Barack Obama actually $112,000, about a third, um, supposedly for legal services. However, nobody has seen any specific lawsuit that Barack Obama handled for Robert Blackwell. So it is not sure what services Barack Obama provided for Blackwell. A number of people have asked and did not get an answer. But there is a concern that Obama, as a state senator, arranged a contract and got from the same individual about a third back. Further, let's think for a moment about Michelle Obama's work on the board of a Chicago University Hospital. When Barack Obama became a US Senator, he was able to arrange $1 million a year contract or grant from the US government for Chicago University Hospital. And lo and behold, his wife gets something like $340,000 salary to be on the board of this hospital, to sit there, I believe, 20 hours a week, basically part-time position on the board of this hospital. She gets $340,000. And what connection does Michelle Obama have to medicine and a hospital? She knows as much about medicine as I know about travel to galaxy of Cassiopeia. She has no connection to medicine. And what's interesting, that when Obama became the US president, Michelle Obama left her position and she was not replaced. Nobody was hired instead of her. If her contribution, if her work would have been so important, you would think the hospital would have rushed to hire somebody else to replace her, and that did not happen. So there is a question, there is a concern. Was this salary that was given to Michelle Obama to sit on this board basically a kickback to US Senator by that time, Barack Obama, in exchange for him getting this grant for the hospital? Um, Further, let's look at yet another contract, and that has to do with Annenberg Challenge. Annenberg Challenge was an offshoot from Annenberg Foundation. It was a program that was run by Barack Obama and domestic terrorist, former domestic terrorist, the former domestic bomb maker William Ayers. As you know, he and his wife burned in a dorm, were on the run for some 11 years. They were involved in bomb manufacturing in the 60s. So this outstanding citizen gets on board of this Annenberg Challenge together with Obama. And there were a number of reports of how much there were grants, large grants, millions of dollars. There were one-to-one grants. Officially, they received more like $500 million. $500 million was received for some silly extracurricular program that was supposed to run in a few Chicago schools. And what's interesting, that after 6 years of this program, when standardized testing was done, the graduates of this program did as poorly as all the other Chicago students in the area. So there was zero result. And the question is, where did this $500 million go? That question was never answered. All the records of any challenge are currently sealed where I believe Obama's uncle used to work, and those questions still have to be answered. But what's interesting that we don't know specifically where did this money go. But let's imagine for a moment. Let's think what could happen there. And if arguendo, some of this money somehow would have gone back, some people would have gotten a windfall of profit. And there were situations where people donated to nonprofit organizations. Then nonprofit organizations kept their cut, let's say 10%, and then through different ways, through backdoor, refunded those quote unquote donors. And by doing this, those donors avoided paying federal taxes. So that's about a third. So when we're talking about $500 million, that's somebody avoided paying $170 million in federal taxes. Now, let's remember another small detail. Investigators Sankey and Daniels have found in national databases that Barack Obama's name is connected to multiple social security numbers. And keep in mind, even though financial transactions go by social security numbers or federal IDs, Susan Daniels have found in different databases 8 different social security numbers. And investigator Neil Sankey, who used to be an elite unit officer of Scotland Yard, unit that was dealing anti-organized crime and anti-communist proliferation, has provided me with a list of over 100 addresses, and those are kind of created bogus units that we found in national databases that were connected to some 30 different social security numbers. So some of those we found were numbers of individuals who were deceased, numbers that were never issued. One of those numbers, of course, was the number of Harrison J. Bunnell that Barack Obama has used with his tax returns in 2009 and posted on whitehouse.gov in 2010. Didn't flatten the PDF file. The whole world could see the number. It was a Connecticut number. I flagged right away, and of course it failed both E-Verify and SSNDS. But what is interesting, that if one is using multiple social security numbers, particularly bogus social security numbers, he can always give refunds through the back door. And even if he were to get a cut, there is still a huge profit that can be made by those individuals. So it was announced that the House Oversight Committee will be investigating this $700 million lemon contract that was signed by Kathleen Sebelius. And I hope that members of the House Oversight Committee will be vigilant, and they will look at the list of social security numbers that are linked to Barack Obama in the national databases and go one by one and see whether any of those payments, disbursements within the $700 million contract is connected to any of those social security numbers that were used by Barack Obama. And then we found actually more than one number for Michelle Obama. So and actually also for his mother, Stanley and Dana, we found 2 social security numbers. So this is something that definitely needs to be investigated before House Oversight Committee goes to court and seeks the rescission of this contract.